I have a little travel story for you, and I'm telling you because it seems like just mass delays and cancellations are becoming the new normal when flying anywhere in this country. And that happened to me recently, and it resulted in me having to spend the night at the Dulles airport, which was awesome. But there are a few things in this story that actually maybe would help you if you find yourself in this situation, especially at the Dulles airport. That's in DC, by the way, if you're not familiar with it. Well, anywho, I was flying back east from California and everything was fine. But when we were in California and LAX, we were on the tarmac waiting for jet fuel. So we were sitting on the tarmac for about an hour before we could even leave, which caused a lot of people to have a lot of stress about their connecting flight. And my connector, I only had an hour before we landed and my plane took off in Dulles for my connector. So I was a little bit nervous, but it looked like I would have been able to make it. The pilot said he was going to try to go as fast as possible to make up for the lost time. Well, anywho, we landed. First of all, let me tell you the first thing that happened, which really, really, really bothered me. So the first thing that happened was while we were in the air, the flight attendants, they knew a lot of us had connecting flights. Some of the connectors were overseas. So she had us all, before we even started to descend, she said, if you have a connecting flight, please raise your hand. And then she had everyone else on the plane look around the plane to see who's needs to get off to get their connector. And she said, please, if you don't have a connector, look at the hands that are raised. Please let these people get off first, and then you deboard after them. Did that happen? No. And I was closer to the back of the plane. This was a huge flight. Every single person, not only did every single person deboard the plane, knowing that only about less than a third of us had connectors, it took just an extra long time. I mean, and some of us, we had a matter of minutes before we were to make our flights. So I'm like, okay, gonna miss this flight. It was literally a matter of 5 minutes if I was gonna make the flight or not. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna miss my flight because I'm on the plane as the flight's boarding. So I see that, and this is one good thing that I did. I actually checked in. It was a United flight. I checked in on the United app prior to going to the airport. Because I did that, this saved me a lot of time and energy and headaches. Because I did that, what they did, I didn't realize it at the time, but they kept me on my original connecting flight, but they also gave me a backup flight that unfortunately my flight before left at like 9 something, so the next flight wasn't until the next morning at like 8 a.m. So they kept me on my original flight and then it looked like they gave me a backup flight. I didn't know if it was confirmed or not yet because this has never happened before. So I get off the plane, I immediately do the right thing. I go to the agent who's working at the gate and I say, hey, I think I'm going to miss my flight, and I show her. It's literally taking off in 5 minutes. And she goes, oh, you can make it. Just hop on the shuttle and then get right there. You can probably make it. They haven't taken off yet. Okay, correction, 10 minutes. Not when they close the gates, when they actually leave to take off. So yeah, that little, just get on the little shuttle and go across. No, it didn't happen like that. By the time I got to my gate, I was exhausted and crying, and everything was closed. And it was just seemed like there weren't even any workers on that side of the airport. So thankfully, I found out, I missed the flight, by the way. Missed it because you don't just get on the shuttle. You sit there and you wait for the shuttle to arrive, and then you have to wait for everyone to board the shuttle, and then you also have to go across it. It was not fun. Anywho, what helped me was checking into that flight, because by the time I got back to customer service on the other side of the airport, I realized, oh my gosh, I don't even have to wait in this line. They already put me on the other flight. So when I didn't make my original connector, they just automatically bumped me on the next flight. So I didn't have to stand in that terrible line because it happened to so many people. There were a lot of us spending the night at the airport. So that was good. The only reason I would have had to wait in that line, which some people were there for over an hour waiting, The only reason I would have had to do that is if I wanted a hotel voucher, which for me, it was already midnight. My flight left at 8 a.m. I know myself. I was like, I'm going to get stressed out. I'm going to wait in that horrible line, get a hotel voucher that's not even going to cover the entirety of the hotel. And then I'm going to have to be transported to the hotel and then come back in the morning to go back through security. And then I'm going to be stressed out. That's just me. So I chose not to do that. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to spend the night at the airport, which is what I did. And if you're going to spend the night at the Dulles Airport, you're going to want to go to gate C or D, or terminal C or D, because none of the chairs have armrests, so you can spread out and maybe take a little nap or rest your eyes for a few minutes. There are a lot of families around me, so that was nice. There's also 24-hour customer service, so there's people there by the desk working. It wasn't that bad. It went by really quickly. I had a lot of stuff to do on my computer, and I didn't really sleep. I can't sleep in that situation. The worst part, I think, was being sent on the wild goose chase to try and catch my flight, and I knew I wasn't going to make it, so I should have just went with my instinct. That was bad. And then spending the night there, that was okay. There were 2 moments that were a little frustrating. One of them was I'm in this really quiet area. It's like private. The staff is right there, so I feel safe. I'm spread out. And then all of a sudden, a worker, I don't know what he did, sits right behind me and is talking on his cell phone. So I think he's on break. He's talking on his cell phone so loud. I put my headphones in and I blast them, and I can still hear him over my headphones. And he's speaking in Spanish, which I don't understand Spanish, so I can't even eavesdrop properly. Like, I can't even be on this journey with him. So I finally, after a while, I'm like, is this phone call ever going to end? It went on and on and on. So I eventually moved to a different area. I finally get settled in that area. And then one of the housekeeping or workers comes around me and starts vacuuming directly under my head, just directly under my head. And at that point, I just laughed. But anywho, wasn't that bad. What saved me, checking into the app, because they automatically did it. There were people that were so frustrated standing in that line and having to deal with customer service. I didn't have to do any of that. That saved me. Also, you're going to the Dulles Airport, Terminal C or D. Very comfortable. Stay safe out there. And I did treat myself at 7 a.m. Mimosa and eggs and bacon and toast and hash browns. That part was nice at 7 a.m. And then I caught my flight and I got picked up and I slept the next day. Oh, and one more thing. If you're ever on one of these flights and you don't have a connector and your flight attendant is telling you to just like chill and wait, just be a nice person and chill and wait. How selfish. I even talked to a girl. They got stuck in DC too. They were actually flying back to Ireland. The same exact thing happened to her. The flight attendants were trying to do a solid to the people that had connectors and made the same announcement. Same thing happened on her plane. Every single person got off. You selfish people. You selfish people.